sorry for the slightly late start. We're trying to fit meetings between meetings this morning. So warm welcome to everyone, to our councillors and Independent Māori Statutory Board members, to local board chair Mike Cohen, who's just disappeared, to our big media contingent, warm welcome. And we'll just go through apologies. We've got apologies from Councillor and I and Councillor Stewart, who we do need to congratulate. I think most people are aware that Councillor Stewart became a grandmother.
Yes, right. So joined the ranks.
I know. It's nice. Yeah, welcome to the Granny Club.
Welcome to the Granny Club.
And Councillor Penrose for early departure, and Member Taipari for lateness. So I'm happy to move those if someone would like.
Madam Chair, I need to leave by 1:45 if we haven't finished.
No, we're councillors. Just to set context, we're cognizant of the wider concerns, issues and passion around this issue. However, we are only here to discuss two issues today. Number one, the future port study, which is a really good one, and secondly, the unitary plan, small issue unitary plan, and I think we do need to make sure that we deal with this in a sensible amount of time, because there are other meetings to be held straight after this. So I'll put those apologies. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Madam Chair.
Linda seconded.
I was going to second because I know that Councillor Cooper was going to leave early.
And she's going to leave early, but she seconded. It's fine to second the apologies.
Given recent history, Madam Chair.
It's okay. Whew. Right.
The apologies become an issue.
The apologies are taken out. Confirmation of, declaration of interest, councillors, with this one. You know, if you do realise there are any conflicts, please let us know during the discussion or now. Nope. Confirmation of minutes. The minutes of the 24th, moved by Councillor Darby, seconded by Councillor Filipaina. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. There are no petitions, no public input requests. We do, however, have Mike Cohen, who's requested to speak, but we thought it might just be because he's speaking to the item. I'll ask and invite Mike, as we usually do, to speak just prior to the item. Oh, welcome to Peter Haynes too, who's here. Our Eden Albert. Oh, and Simon. I can't see Simon. Oh, hi, Simon. Welcome to our board chairs who are here. Extraordinary business. There is no extraordinary business, no notices of motion. So we move on to our first item, which everyone will be aware that is something that we've been discussing at length over the last few weeks, certainly discussing this with our community. We undertook to do this work, so the issue that is on the table before us today, and welcome Shark, is to rescind the motion to do this after the completion of the unitary plan, to bring the study forward, which is the sensible thing to do, and to discuss today what we're hoping is an innovative and really inclusive process to make this happen. So I'm going to ask the Mayor to make some introductory remarks.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and councillors. Presents an opportunity post our meeting on Thursday to, as I said to you, report back on progress thus far with regard to what we hope will be a better way forward, establishing a good framework for community involvement in the presentation of the future port study. You'll note the change of name. Stage 2 study means nothing. For want of any better wording, we're talking about the future port study. So you recall at that meeting I suggested to you that it was timely to really start to develop a framework against which we can have the views of the community, the views of the ports of Auckland, and obviously our view to enable an appropriate and timely assessment of the port, its future, both its costs and benefits to our community. Now, you'll be aware that we had a recommendation that has indicated that we would not start that port study until after the unitary plan. And that was our commitment. My view is that now is the time, considering all of the matters that are in front of us, and in particular some of the challenges that we face and the various views that we're getting from the community with regard to the port. Utilising the port study and the model which I'm proposing, which we need to do work on, as a platform to deal with some of the concerns that have been expressed, and as a platform for the port to actually start telling its story, I think is opportune. I just want to reflect on the fact that for myself as the leader and the mayor of this city, this issue has particular challenges. And that being that we actually don't carry the normal one or two jurisdictions in this, we actually carry three. So our ownership, of course, of the port as representatives of the owners, our community, means that we are in effect shareholders in a multi-billion-dollar business with an extraordinary history and an extraordinary footprint within our community, both physical, cultural and social. Secondly, of course, we have been going through unitary plan consideration, so we set the rules. And then thirdly, we determine how the rules are to be interpreted. So all of those three roles mean that any comments that I make and we make as a chamber need to reflect the balance of those three very significant roles. So it's been my view and my style through the course of this discussion to actually get really briefed, a full understanding of the challenges in front of us, and then out of that knowledge and understanding ensure that we've got a sustainable way forward, both in terms of the port but in how we actually deal with this discussion. As we said, one of the main reasons why we were united as a council and as a community was to stop some of the extraordinary argumentation within Auckland and the divisiveness. And so I've given a great deal of thought as to how to deal with those different attitudes and give them a platform where everyone is able to make their contribution based on best information, best analysis, and contributing to the way to go forward. So the future port study is very much about an assessment of the costs and benefit overall of the port to our city, its presence in the city, its development, its connectivity in and around the city. Now, at this point in time, the details of the report itself are subject to work that needs to come back to us. So it's been left reasonably open-ended because we actually want to work this up based on information and views coming through from some of those in the community that have had some of the most significant say and some who had not, for example, those that are the logistics operators coming in and out of the port. So I think that it's critical that we continue to work that up and get back a full report on the nature and scope of that report within a month. Secondly, and I think this is the key part of how we actually engage the community and the port. First of all, the port. It's fair to say that I think the port has operated down there for 170 years by and large within their own vacuum and following the own beat of their drum. And I think that it's pretty clear and evident over the last few weeks that the time for the port to not fully engage in its community as it goes forward and bring its community with it is past. I think that it is critical that we see this as an opportunity, utilising an independent advisory group where we engage the port, give it an opportunity to tell its story in a forum where people from Auckland, represented across the broad cross-section, are there, one, to receive the information, understand the things that are driving port development and their aspirations, and understanding what it takes to have a port that is successful within our harbour. So the development establishment of independent advisory group is a critical part of the future port strategy going forward. At this point in time, we haven't and shouldn't have finalised those who will actually be in it, but obviously we'll be looking for representation from iwi, from the business community, from users in and around the harbour, and we've heard a lot from those who are the boaties and the yachties. You'll all be aware that I had a meeting on Friday with the Port's chair, the ACIL representatives, and representatives of those who have been fronting the concerns expressed by the community. Sir Stephen Tyndall, Andy Anderson as Commodore, Julie Stout as a representative of Design Auckland. And so we had a meaningful and good discussion. And I have to say to you that that discussion was held within an environment of considerable respect and regard. And as I listened to the discussion between the Port and those four people in particular, it became evident to me that a lot of what the community needs now is an opportunity, one, to receive information, but also to engage the Port in a good, meaningful discussion going forward. And so I think that what I'm proposing here really provides that opportunity for a bilateral discussion, which probably hasn't happened, as I said, for 170 years.
Oh, rubbish.
So, well, in the way that I see going forward.
Mike.
The second thing that I would hope would come out of these of this work is the opportunity for this type of discussion and engagement to drive what I see as a possibility of a culture change in the Port to be much more open to our community. Councillors, I'm in the first instance indicating to you that this is a recommendation that we can well support. I secondly want to just briefly acknowledge the fact that as a part of the discussions had thus far, we have also been in correspondence with the Port with regard to the consents that have issued and have been the subject in particular of the protestation. Listen in particular to the views of those around the chamber and their hope that there might be something of a breather as we go through this Port study, and have listened also to the views of the community in the same light. It's clear and evident that when we talk about communication, it certainly would have been appreciated by myself and you all, a better level of communication at the very least relating to the consents that were issued, even though, as I've said on a number of occasions, I am very comfortable with the fact that our officers carried out the work that they were required with regard to these consents in an appropriate way. So we have opened up a discussion with ACIL, as you're aware, that is our conduit to the ports under our structure, to reflect the concerns of this chamber, that it would be appropriate while we're going through this study for the Port to consider the opportunity of a breather relating to the work on its consents. And so a letter has been forwarded to ACIL on myself and the Chair's behalf under the name of our Chief Executive Officer, setting out circumstances relating to this matter and also reflecting back to ACIL that we would like a discussion with the board of POAL in terms of having a time to reflect on the consents that have been given and ensuring that during the period of study that the Port consider whether or not is appropriate to carry out the work while we are working through on that study. So that letter is available and if Glenn, if you can make sure that is handed out to everyone. And so that has been a part of discussion that has been commenced. And I would hope that discussion would continue against the framework of the work that we're establishing and the work that we want to do under the study and the collaboration of all those parties who will be involved in it. so that we can achieve what we hope will be a positive outcome from this study and from the content that we'll finally agree in a month's time. So, councillors, I'm proposing to you a better way forward, a platform for the views of the community to be reflected, and ultimately, of course, an opportunity and platform for ourselves to guide this discussion, clarify matters for the port, give them as clear a direction as we can in terms of the outcomes that we see from the study, and then final recommendations that we would need to pass hopefully a year down the track and no later. So, Madam Chair, I move it.
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Okay, that's
I'd like to
really
move
good.
an amendment.
No, hang on, councillors. I gave the mayor speaking rights. I can see we're not into it yet. You will remember I offered the opportunity for Mike Cohen from the local
To move an
board
amendment, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I realise that. Mike, I'd just like to invite you up. Shark, it's fine to stay there. Mike just wanted to make a few, very few comments.